As times begin to change with advancements in technology, some countries will begin to gain more power throughout the world. Countries we once thought might be easy to overrule are beginning to independently gain wealth and political importance. From countries with rapidly growing populations to countries gaining wealth quite rapidly, here are 11 fastest growing countries in the world. But first, thanks Matt for leaving us this comment on our Things We're Running Out Of video. We appreciate you tuning in to our channel. Let us know in the comment section if you think we left out a country from this list. We'd like to hear your thoughts. Number 11. China. Everyone has been impressed with China within the past decade. China's ability to manufacture cheap goods and export them consistently has helped them increase their GDP 7% each year on average within the past 3 years. Some believe that one day, China might even be able to become more economically powerful than the US. China's population has been growing steadily, as you've probably noticed, with low unemployment rates, and they are the country with the most people. Although the population is high, China has not been able to successfully handle some of their success in industry recently. This has led to high levels of pollution. Their per capita income is quite low in some regions, but this is likely to go up if their GDP keeps steadily rising. Number 10. Uzbekistan. It has been a rough path for Uzbekistan, who lost all their water from the Aral Sea thanks to Soviet engineering projects gone wrong. Abandoned ships left over in the middle of the dry lake bed certainly seems a little unsettling, but this is a reality from the Aral Sea, which rapidly dried up in recent years. This Central Asian country is landlocked between many other stands that were created as the Soviet Union crumbled. It's the 5th largest cotton exporter, and it also exports natural gas. Gold mining in this country has allowed it to become a more independent nation. The largest city and the capital of Uzbekistan is one of only 2 countries in Central Asia who have a subway system, and to top it off, it's a very eco-friendly country in present times. However, it's still home to one of the worst ecological disasters in history, so it is slowly recovering. Much of the dry lake bed is covered in salt, so it's impossible to grow anything in some regions. Hopefully, with some more ingenuity, the country of Uzbekistan will continue to grow. Number 9. Bhutan. Another landlocked Asian country, Bhutan is situated at a high elevation just south of Tibet. On a spiritual level, Bhutan could be number 1 with many Buddhist monasteries and temples. They are also one of the least corrupt countries in the world recently, and they run entirely off hydroelectric power. Home to many mountains, it's difficult to maintain a large population, ranking 165th in that category. Bhutan has remained a very peaceful country and has never been marked as a territory of another country. This gives them a very unique sense of identity, despite them being situated between the very large countries of India and China. They've remained under protection by the Indian army in case some other power decide to invade them. Buddhism was introduced to the area from Mongolians, and it's gaining tourism from tourists visiting these historical monuments. Number 8. Ireland. The country of Ireland appears to be one of the fastest growing countries in Europe, and many are predicting more economic growth for the Emerald Island in years to come. It must just be the luck of the Irish. By focusing on high technology trades to other countries, Ireland is right on track to becoming a force to reckon with in the competitive European market. With their GDP certainly on the rise and a low corporate tax, many are banking that Ireland might be the right place to do business. In 2015, it was ranked as the 9th most economically free economy in the world. The alcoholic beverage industry, which they specialize in, employs over 92,000 people and brings in $2 billion each year. Due to the low corporate tax, many are willing to export from one of Ireland's many docks. Number 7. Argentina. While some South American nations are looking like they're certainly in an economic downfall, there's one country that's been notably on the rise, and that's Argentina. In many ways, the country is developing. While Argentina was more economically strong in earlier parts of the 20th century, it's gone through some political instabilities, and quality of life slowly dissipated. Due to the sheer amount of land Argentina controls and the amount of oil they have, there is certainly room for growth if they can manage it properly. Argentina has been known for being one of the top oil producers in the world, and we can tell from this place on Google Maps that has certainly shaped their landscape. This area in Rio Negro has been dotted with thousands of oil wells, all in a dense formation. It's a little bit surreal in a sense, and when you zoom in, you notice most of the time there's really nothing there. It makes you wonder, even after all the oil is gone, how it might shape the environment. If Argentina can properly manage pollution from emitting their oil, they can prove to be on the rise for even longer. Number 6. The Congo. This Central African country has much potential to be a huge exporter of natural resources with some proper governing. The country still faces a vast amount of corruption and lawlessness in some cases, which has been holding it back. With vast rainforests for logging and large deposits of petroleum, these are just a few items the Congo has used to make it a growing country. They also specialize in important resources such as sugar, rice, coffee, cocoa, vegetables, and diamonds. They export to many powerful countries across the world and supply raw materials to China. Their mineral trade has allowed for urbanization and supported a strong middle class. The population of the country is growing quite fast as well, and it's home to 78 million people. With some proper governing and peace within the country, there's no reason to believe they couldn't become a more prosperous nation within the next 10 years. Their GDP has gradually increased since 2010 and took just a small dip in 2016, so it'll be something to keep your eye on. Number 5. Slovenia. Slovenia is a country with many beautiful landscapes and medieval architecture. Everything from creepy underground rivers to fairy tale-like islands can be found here. It's also one of the most prosperous former Yugoslavian countries, making a splash. Even our first lady is from there. This growing country suffered from an economical crisis in 2012, but has managed to stabilize and is now one of the best performing EU members out there. Slovenia gained independence without having to get caught up in a war with the rest of Yugoslavia, and its transition has been quite good surprisingly. The nearly landlocked country shares a border with Italy and Austria, who they've enjoyed a decent amount of tourism from. With a well-educated workforce and being a gateway between East and West Europe, it's now been able to possess one of the highest GDPs in Central Europe. They also are able to extract many valuable metals which are sold to other parts of Europe for building computers. Much of their agricultural products are used to feed the people instead of being exported, and the unemployment rate remains favorable at 7%. Number 4. Panama. While many Central American countries are beginning to move in the wrong direction, Panama is unique and home to the strategic canal. On one side of Panama is the Pacific Ocean, and on the other side is the Caribbean Sea. The U.S. was the one who built the Panama Canal back in 1914, but now it's the Panamanians who reap the benefits of this modern engineering wonder. This is certainly one of the reasons they've been able to grow. Panama gained full control of the canal thanks to a treaty in 1999. In 2016, the canal has expanded since then in order to accommodate much larger ships. This should certainly be an important factor for the future of Panama. GDP has continually been able to increase since 2012. However, the wealth distribution hasn't been all that great, with 1/4 of the population living under the poverty line. Due to Panama's tropical climate, they've been able to grow numerous crops, which can be easily exported thanks to the expansion of their canal. The sky is really the limit for Panama if they can maintain social order. Number 3. Ethiopia. Believe it or not, but the country of Ethiopia has made drastic improvements within the past decade, and both their GDP and population is on the rise. Ethiopia is home to one of the fastest growing economies in the world, and their GDP growth percentage has been well above the world average. China has been able to invest in Ethiopia's infrastructure plan, but everyone is still kind of worried a drought might happen again, which will set them back. Despite the drought that set them back earlier, they have been able to export quite a few products, including coffee, sugar, and cereals. Other industries here appear as though they'll surpass Ethiopia's agriculture, such as leather manufacturing and gold mining. Number 2. India. With an ever-growing GDP per capita, India continues to surprise people how fast they're able to grow. It's now the second largest country by population. Home to one of the earliest civilizations in the Indus Valley, India has been a thriving nation full of resources, and many foreign invaders knew this. However, in modern times, it's taken India quite a while to adjust. Within the past few decades, they've become a global force to reckon with. Some major cities now, such as New Delhi and Mumbai, have over 20 million residents each. They seem to be exponentially growing in population, and their population has risen by 200 million people since 2001. And number 1, Indonesia. With 261 million people, Indonesia is becoming a rapidly growing nation both economically and by population. From 1960 to the mid-1990s, the population here has doubled from 100 million to 200 million, and they've continued to grow since. With naturally beautiful places such as Bali and various volcanoes, Indonesia is home to many resources, even one of the biggest gold mines in the world. They now have the largest economy in Southeast Asia, and many believe they will continue to be a close second to China in terms of economic growth in Asia. They replaced India as the second fastest growing G20 economy. With their focus on a large variety of things such as agriculture, mining, manufacturing, and tourism, they don't have all their eggs in one basket. Indonesia is a manufacturer of many cheap goods, but unlike China, many people in the country will be able to buy them. The rapid growth has taken its toll on the environment like many of these countries. The Cedar Rum River near the capital of Jakarta is labeled as one of the most polluted rivers in the world. Although the government appears to be rather easily corruptible, it shows signs of progressing.